Welcome to China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. Our top story, an inside look at the inner workings of China's global hacking efforts. Leaked documents show how Beijing works with private hackers to get intelligence of foreign governments. Who are the victims? The number of Chinese nationals illegally entering the U.S. is rising fast. More on what officials say about potential ties to the Chinese Communist Party. A bipartisan House delegation visits Taiwan as the Pentagon approves new arms sales to the island. Lawmakers vowing firm U.S. support. And the ideal place to live for young Chinese people now breaking with past trends. Having once eyed metropolitan cities, much of the young workforce is losing interest in hustling or uprooting. What's behind the trend? A rare glimpse into China's global hacking campaign, from Taiwan's road mapping data to details on Thailand's foreign ministry. Leaked documents show the Chinese regime is working with private hackers to obtain sensitive information on foreign governments. Reports show Beijing's top intelligence agency hires hundreds of such private companies to attack foreign governments. Hackers claim to have targeted government agencies in the United Kingdom, Taiwan, India, Thailand, South Korea, and Malaysia. It's unclear if the U.S. is on its companies list, but Chinese hackers have targeted the U.S. for decades. Of the things they've lifted, valuable source code from Google and Adobe, personnel files on over 4 million U.S. government employees, and security clearance background information on over 20 million people. Back to the leaked documents, they were posted on GitHub last week. These documents come from a Chinese security firm called iSoon. iSoon works for Chinese military and intelligence agencies. That includes over 50 police agencies across China and dozens of other state-owned companies and state agencies. Examples include oil giant PetroChina and Shanghai Pudong Development Bank. There are hundreds of other private companies like iSoon. Together, they target foreign governments on behalf of the Chinese state. Here's what iSoon hackers appear to have obtained: road mapping data from Taiwan, information that could prove useful in a potential Chinese invasion, plus data about government agencies in Thailand, including its foreign ministry, intelligence agency, and Senate. The leaked documents mention selling data related to NATO, though it's unclear if the data was publicly available. NATO told the Washington Post that the alliance faces persistent cyber threats and remains on guard. Users of Microsoft, Apple, and X are also on the list. iSoon advertisements claim it can help clients control Outlook accounts and obtain contact information from target iPhones. Plus, it's been known to launch phishing campaigns against users of X, formerly Twitter. Chinese officials are investigating the leak. Illegal immigration in California is on the rise. Federal government data reveals more immigrants are choosing not to enter the U.S. through Texas, and the change is shifting immigration west. San Diego is experiencing an increase in illegal border crossers. The chief of the U.S. Border Patrol said the San Diego sector has made over 140,000 apprehensions since this fiscal year began in October, and over 20,000 of them were from China. That's a 500% increase compared to the same time period last year. The head of the Border Patrol Union recently warned about an increase in military-aged Chinese men crossing the southern border illegally. He says some of them may be spies working on behalf of China's communist regime, looking to infiltrate the U.S. Besides Chinese nationals, the San Diego sector saw thousands of Afghans, Russians, Africans, and others enter since October. A $75 million arms sale to Taiwan, the State Department giving the plan the go-ahead Wednesday, one day before a congressional delegation touched down in Taipei. Congressman Gallagher is leading the group and brings one important message. Here's a closer look.
A bipartisan show of support for Taiwan. A congressional delegation is visiting Taiwan Thursday, and Representative Mike Gallagher, chairman of the House Select China Committee, is leading the charge. He said the U.S. needs to fix one big problem: delivering the weapons that Taiwan has bought.
We need to ensure that we're delivering on the foreign military sales that you've purchased, that we've approved, but have yet to be delivered. We have a $20 billion backlog.
Beijing sees Taiwan as part of its territory and has pledged to take it under control by force if necessary. That's despite never having controlled the island. The U.S. doesn't have formal diplomatic relations with Taiwan, but is bound by law to sell arms to Taiwan so it can defend itself. Gallagher noted the U.S. stands with Taiwan.
The United States, Democrats and Republicans, stands with Taiwan for your freedom and for ours. For as Taiwan goes, so goes the world. Taiwan must remain, as it stands today, a candle, burning freely, fiercely, and improbably against the darkness.
The U.S. lawmakers met with Taiwan's outgoing president, Tsai Ing-wen.
Your visit further highlights the close partnership between Taiwan and the United States.
And President-elect William Lai.
We are facing a rapidly changing global geopolitical landscape, and also tremendous pressure on diplomatic, military, and economic coercion coming from China.
Lai said he hopes to continue to stand with the U.S. and the free world once in office. The American delegation will stay in Taiwan for 3 days. The trip is part of a larger visit to the Indo-Pacific region.
Gallagher's visit comes amid heightened tensions between Taiwan and mainland China. 2 Chinese fishermen died after trying to make a run from the Taiwanese Coast Guard. Another 2 survived. Taiwanese media reports say the Chinese fishermen may not come from Fujian, the province just across the water from Taiwan. The survived fishermen appear to have a thick Sichuan accent. Sichuan is a province located in southwestern China. A $3 billion dent on HSBC's blockbuster success. The banking giant's profit in 2023 hit over $30 billion, an over 80% increase. Despite that, a big write-down from a Chinese bank spelled huge losses for HSBC in the last 3 quarters. Here's more.
HSBC profits have surged in recent months, hitting just over $30 billion in 2023. That's up 78% on 1 year before, but still missed analysts' forecasts. Despite the bank scoring the big profit win, it also took on a major blow from China. So much so that HSBC lost over $150 million in the last quarter of 2023. The reason? An old investment gone wrong. HSBC bought a 19% stake in a Chinese bank in 2004, but the bank wrote down the value of the stake by $3 billion. That's partly due to China's slowing economy. HSBC has stuck it out inside China, as other Western banks cut their operations in the region. Last year, HSBC agreed to buy Citibank's retail wealth management portfolio in mainland China. The London banking giant said it remained confident in China's economy. Back to this week, HSBC Chairman Mark Tucker called China's economic performance bumpier than expected. The news of missing forecasts saw the bank's Hong Kong share slide over 3% in afternoon trade Wednesday. Even so, the bank plans to reward investors with a fresh $2 billion share buyback and says it will consider a special dividend. Staff are in line for a boost, too, with the bank set to increase its bonus payouts. Chief Executive Noel Quinn saw his total remuneration almost double to $10.6 million as long-term incentives kicked in. HSBC says it remains cautious about the outlook for lending this year, with many key markets still battling inflation and slow growth. The bank itself saw costs rise more than expected last year and says they'll jump up sharply in 2024.
Beijing is making a last-ditch effort to save its troubled property sector with the biggest ever cut to a key mortgage reference rate. Will it be the game changer the sector needs? Here's NTD's Don Ma with a brief update.
It seems like China is going to make its biggest cut ever to a key mortgage rate. And this is, of course, as it scrambles to revive its ailing property market. The People's Bank of China announced that it would cut its 5-year loan prime rate by 25 basis points to 3.95%. Now, this rate is usually serving as a reference for mortgages. Now, the one-year loan prime rate, which is a benchmark for personal and corporate loans, will remain unchanged. China's economy, which relies heavily on the property sector, has been hobbled by a downturn in the industry, and that came in 2021 when Beijing cracked down on developers borrowing, which triggered defaults on debts. The deeper than expected cut suggests that Beijing is not as worried about the negative impacts of lower lending rates on currency or banks. There was a muted reaction, however, to the announcement in the markets with the benchmark index, Shanghai Composite, gaining less than 0.5%.
A migration trend inside China is causing concerns for authorities. Over the past decade, more Chinese people have been abandoning metropolitan cities for smaller ones or even rural areas. What's behind the move to the countryside? Let's take a closer look.
Sociologists call it de-urbanization, where people proactively downgrade their residents from city living to smaller regions. Chinese internet users call it by a simpler name, laying flat. While the term may evoke images of couch potatoes in the West, China's young people are using it to describe a lack of interest in ambitious career hustle or getting disillusioned by China's soaring unemployment rate. Instead, they spend their time in ways that improve their mental health.
Many college students go to deliver takeout and so on. They can't find a job. They just can't see any hope. The regime's Chinese dream has nothing to do with young people, nor does it have anything to do with Chinese people in general. They've had enough of those lies and they're escaping. It's not that they voluntarily lay flat, they are forced to do so.
Zooming in on China's southwestern province of Yunnan, a city named Dali has attracted many young people. It's known for its low living expenses, smaller population, and beautiful scenery. According to Chinese tech giant Sina, the average age range of travelers who eventually choose to stay in Dali is 25 to 26 years old.
In fact, the young people who come here normally have independent thinking and mainly want to escape pressure and release that pressure here.
Many of the new residents in Dali work from home. They're often referred to as digital migrants, meaning they have relocated to one area but make their living from jobs located somewhere else. On top of that,
the consumption level of young people has downgraded, and the desire for consumption is also decreasing, and the desire for reproduction is also decreasing. This is because the CCP is too harsh in its internal oppression.
But now, another problem has cropped up. Many people living in Dali are finding it difficult to carry on the low-cost lifestyle there since local work opportunities are few. What's next for Chinese people facing off with a struggling economy? We'll keep you updated.
Coming up this Saturday on China in Focus, from slashing tour bus tires to hiring internet trolls and inflicting physical attacks. Why is the Chinese Communist Party targeting Shenyuan, a U.S.-based performance the regime doesn't want you to see?
Here we've got sponsors, American companies, trying to sponsor an American company in Shenyuan Performing Arts, and the Chinese government is coming in and trying to pressure them not to do that right here in America.
Discover what's really behind over 130 documented incidents of CCP interference against the show and learn why a peaceful meditation practice that's persecuted in China is at the heart of it all. Tune in for an exclusive interview with Levi Browdy, Executive Director of the Falun Dafa Information Center, on how Beijing manipulates narratives in America. Don't miss it Saturday at 11 a.m. and rerun Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, only on China in Focus. That's all for today's China in Focus on YouTube. We're now sharing a shortened version of our program here after being demonetized for 3 years. If you'd like to support us, consider donating. Find us at donorbox.org/China-in-focus or subscribe to our partner platform, Epic TV, where you can watch our full episodes. Here's what to look out for in our second half. A deadly bridge accident hits China. 5 are dead after part of the structure collapsed when a cargo ship crashed into it head-on. Footage reveals the aftermath. a look at some of the globe's most expensive places to raise a child. A recent think tank report from Beijing reveals staggering costs and sheds light on why more women are choosing to stay childless. And Taiwanese fishermen are treading cautiously as tensions with China escalate following a fatal clash at sea. More on what they had to say after the break here on China in Focus. Thanks for watching China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. See you tomorrow.